Hi, folks. Tom Moore here with my lovely wife, Liz, in the background. I always invite her to come over here and sit with me on this side of the camera, but she says, because of my big head, we can't get two heads in that little frame of the phone. So my big head just prevents her from coming over here and showing her beautiful face. So we're reading through the book of Revelation. And if you haven't done so already, please go back to the introduction, our little teaching on the introduction and our teachings on chapters 1 through 8. It lays the groundwork and the foundation that you need to know.
Found work.
So that when we talk about things, you're going to go, where did he get that from? So anyway, keep in mind also as we read this chapter, all the metaphors, all the types and shadows, things that represent other things. John's seeing things in the spirit realm that represent some things in the physical realm. But even what he sees sometimes in the spirit realm, they're not manifested in that way in the physical realm. So you have to keep that in mind, folks. Sometimes it's not literal fire. It's not literal earthquakes, thunderings, lightnings. Those things represent other things.
We were just reading in Psalms chapter 69 today, and that's a very good example of what Tom's talking about. It also is a good example about dual prophecy, because as David's prayer or his psalm in this is replicated again by Yeshua HaMashiach. So you've got to take the whole of Scripture in order to.
Good point. So Yeshua is called sometimes David. He's the David, the Ancient of Days, the David that sits on the throne in his New Jerusalem, new temple, new heavens, new earth. He's called David. Well, he's not David, but he's called that. Same thing in Revelation. So what we read this morning, and this is all throughout the Psalms, but in Psalm 69, our reading this morning, Liz and I, there's one verse that'll say something about David's crying out for himself, but it's also a dual prophecy of Yeshua when he comes as the Messiah, who will experience the exact same rejection and shame that David experienced. Yeah. David experienced it because of his sins. Yeshua is righteous and sinless. But
even specifically to verse 21 in the Psalm 69, it says, and they gave me gall for my food, and for my thirst they gave me vinegar to drink. Well,
that wasn't David. Yeah, but David wrote it about himself, but it wasn't David. Excuse me, it was about the Messiah who was coming. And that prophecy was fulfilled when he was on the cross. The other one is, the zeal of your house, Father, has eaten me up.
Yeah.
Well, that was quoted when Yeshua twice drove out the people out of the outer court of the temple who were buying and selling and cheating the Hebrew people with things they needed for their sacrifice, the Passover lamb and turtle doves and everything else. Yeshua drove them out and said, my Father's house should be called a house of prayer for many nations, but you've made it a den of thieves. And then the prophecy's given again, the same one we just read this morning in Psalm 69. The zeal of your house has eaten me up.
Well, even to the point where he's referencing the future desolation of Jerusalem
it's
when
there.
He calls them out.
It's
he
there.
Says, verse 25, let their encampments be deserted. Let no one dwell there in their tents.
Yeah.
For they persecute him whom you have smitten.
Exactly.
Right,
so when Yeshua came back, he's already come back before he ascended. After he ascended to the Father. That's not his final coming. We have that to look forward to. But he came back, and that's what Revelation's about, is his coming back in the clouds of judgment. He fulfilled that Psalm 69. Go back and read the last part of Psalm 69, where David's saying, let their desolation, let their habitation be empty. Kill them all. And Yeshua did.
Let them be blocked out by the book of the living.
Yeah, he used Rome, he used Nero to come and kill most of the Hebrews. The word Jews, by the way, it's a made-up word. It began to be used in 1775 by the Rothschild Freemasons. They started calling the Hebrew people the Jews. The Hebrews, even the people that showed up in the face of Yeshua, were Satan's seed. They came from Cain's lineage. Yeshua said that. Your father's the devil. So, and the Jews today are not the true Hebrew sons and daughters of Elohim. They're not his elect.
Well, they probably are Jews.
They probably are Jews, but they're not. They're the Luciferian Rothschild Jews, but they're not Israelites. That's correct. They're not from the descendants of Jacob. Jacob. There's no J back there. Jacob. All right, so we are in. I'm zooming right now. I got my coffee going. I get excited when we read, when Liz and I read the Word together, and when we invite you guys out there to read with us, and we get to talk about these scriptures. Some of these verses will always be a mystery to us on this side of eternity, but we do the best we can to help connect the dots between the vision John saw and what he wrote down and recorded for us, and the events that happened right after he saw the vision. You can make that connection. You cannot make the connection between, not always, between the book of Revelation and some far distant thing that's going to happen.
Let me mention this too. We were talking about this
In the future.
We were talking about this the other day. We don't have on our More Biblical Truth site, we don't have like an index that shows what we've taught. So you just kind of have to
Thank you for reminding.
Take a stab at it. But if you go up to the search, on the search little thing with the little magnifying glass, and you type in a different, like type in 1 Thessalonians, it'll pull up our teachings. Now, we've only been teaching at this time, we've only been teaching in the New Testament. We haven't covered the whole thing.
But we refer back to the Old Testament.
Yeah, so if you're looking for something like John or something, if you type that in, it'll pull up the teachings that we have in that, unless you say you don't have to go all the way back to all the teachings.
Thank you. Thank you for reminding us of that. Let me go ahead and share with you what we have taught on. We've taught through the whole book of John, so you can write John in that search on More Biblical Truth. We've taught Romans, Galatians, Ephesians, Philippians, Colossians, 1st and 2nd Thessalonians. I think that's it. And then Revelation up till chapter 9, which we're going to cover
Did you say
today.
Romans?
Yeah, I'm sorry, Romans also. Yes, Romans.
Yeah.
So a lot of Paul's letters, prison epistles, and now Revelation. But anyway, go back and study, go back and listen to the videos of, I think the first one on Revelation is actually called Introduction to the End Times.
It is.
We don't have the word Revelation in there. So read that. It's an introduction to the book of Revelation. It's called Introduction to the End Times. Then you can type in Revelation chapter 1, Revelation chapter 2.
You don't have to. I mean, when you get to a certain book, you
it'll
don't
go
have
in
to,
order?
it'll just go forward. Yeah.
Okay, I don't know how it works. I'm not very techie.
And nor am I. And so that's why some of the problems we've been having, glitches. We're continuing to record, but posting them has become a problem. So
Probably half of all the videos we've done so far, starting with the book of John, all the way up till now, all the way up to the book of Revelation, my voice has been softer. Liz's voice has been louder because we had the phone, which we're using right now, closer to her. But we've made that adjustment probably starting with Revelation chapter 3 and on.
also, my voice is.
She has a pure, rich
deeper,
voice. I have a raspy voice.
So that
I have the
I have a professionally trained voice.
I have the mafia voice. Yo, Vinny. All right.
So chapter 9.
Chapter 9.
Revelation. Hazon.
Again, before we start this, before we
time
begin,
is up.
I know our time's almost up for this session. Most things are symbolic. They're metaphors in Revelation. Almost all apocalyptic literature is that. You see a lot of back and forth. Some of these things already happened in the past that John's seeing in the vision. Some of these things are happening as he's seeing the vision. Some of these things will happen within a year that he sees the vision. But nearly all of Revelation's already been fulfilled. It's already happened. And there will be dual prophecies. There could be a repeat of many of these things that happen right now in our lifetime. And in other words, does there have to be a third temple built? We've always heard that. We've always believed that. No, there doesn't have to be. Because what he's talking about here has already been destroyed. Nero's the one who set up his image in the temple. He was the abomination of desolation, and he required a mark on the forehead and the hand of people before they could buy or sell. So, and he set up an image of himself in the temple to be worshipped. So, keep that in mind as we read. And John saw a fifth angel sounded. They had shofars. And I saw a star fall from heaven unto the earth. It's not a literal star, folks. And to him was given, a star fell from heaven, and to him was given the key of the bottomless pit. Let's see what it says in the living. Then the fifth angel blew his trumpet, and I saw one, that's a person, who has fallen to the earth from heaven. And to him was given the key to the bottomless pit. And when he opened it, it's got to be a he. It's a person. It's an entity. It's a spirit being. Okay? So it's not a star. He opened the bottomless pit, and there arose a smoke out of the pit. He sees it as if it's a smoke, It's literal demons. Hundreds of thousands, maybe millions of demons. If you remember, we're going to read it. We've already, I think, touched on it already, but we're going to read it again where when the angels fell after the flood, after the father of the flood, obviously giants arose again. There was that seed that came all the way from Cain because we have David slaying the giant who had brothers and sisters who were also huge beasts. So the seed of the Nephilim and Rephilim continued on the earth, even to this day. However, many of the fallen angels were bound in chains and reserved in hell until the end times. Well, we're there now, the end times. So
Seems like they're coming out, doesn't it?
yes, so there are portals being opened. CERN, research CERN, CERN.
It's in Switzerland?
Yeah, in Switzerland. So there are portals that are being opened by the Father. He's using Satan to do it, that are allowing millions of demons to come up on the earth, hundreds of thousands at least, of fallen angels to come up. That's probably what John's seeing here. The smoke is not literal smoke. There's so many of them from a distance, it looks black. It looks like smoke to John. He opened the bottomless pit, and there arose a smoke out of the pit as the smoke of a great furnace.
Just thought of this. They're not physical flesh and blood, so you could see. That's why you could see through it like it was smoke.
Yeah,
Because you're not.
that's what I mean.
You're not looking at something solid.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Like fog.
Yeah.
Fog's not solid, but you can see it. Rain, a heavy rain is dark. It darkens everything. So these are demonic spirits. And the sun and the air were darkened by reason of the smoke of the pit. That could be, they're already being released right now. They're coming out of the bottomless pit now. And many scientists who are atheists, don't even believe in God, are saying, as we shared in a previous video, that the sun is not as bright today as it used to be. It's not nearly as bright as it used to be. So this is not a literal thing that's going to block out a literal sun. John is seeing in the spirit realm. The sun and the air were darkened by reason of the smoke of the pit. And there came out of the smoke locusts. It looks like locusts to John. That's the only thing he's like, okay, this is like a swarm of locusts. They're demonic spirits, folks. Locusts upon the earth, and unto them was given power.
Yeah, what do locusts do? Remember, that was one of the
What are the plagues?
plagues that
Moses.
What's his name? The Pharaoh sent.
God sent the plague locust.
Thank
A
you.
lot of things are repeated. Prophecies are repeated in the Bible. Can this happen again? Yes. I believe it's happening now in the spirit realm with demonic spirits, but it could happen literally, physically.
That might be what's in our garden.
I know. Something's eating our garden this year. Unto them was given power, the powers of darkness. Where does that power come from? All power resides in Elohim. He's omnipotent. Satan has no power. Demons have no power. Fallen angels have no power except that which Elohim loans them for Elohim's plans and purposes and agendas. And it's only for a temporary season, for a time period. They were given power as the scorpions of the earth have power. Snakes and scorpions have always represented in the Bible demonic spirits. When Yeshua said, I'm giving you disciples my power to go cast out demons, you can step on snakes and scorpions, you can handle snakes and they won't harm you. He's talking about demonic spirits. He's talking about demons. Demons will not touch you, disciples, until your season of sharing the gospel is over. Until your season of casting out demons and sharing my name with people is over. When that season's over, then the Father will allow Satan to work through Nero in Rome and the Jewish leaders. They will capture you. They will crucify you. Yeshua told the disciples this. But for a season, the snakes and scorpions, the demonic spirits, will be held back by the hand of God until the Father's finished using the disciples to do what the Father had already preordained and predesigned for them to do. That was a mouthful.
Very good.
Same thing here. This is for a season. And this stuff already happened in John's time. It was commanded to them that they should not hurt the grass of the earth, neither any green thing, not yet. Remember, Jerusalem was burned down by fire. So the grass and the trees were hurt later, right after Nero invaded Jerusalem. and sacked the temple. But at first, it says, they shouldn't harm the grass or the trees, but only those men who have not the seal of God on their foreheads. Who's that? The Jews that rejected Christ. That's it. Can this be a repeat of this in our time? Absolutely, yes. It can be. We have a seal. We have a seal.
The seal doesn't have to be a physical.
It's not a physical thing.
It's a spiritual. The
Right.
forehead, that's where your mind, that's where your thoughts are.
Josephus, who was alive and well, Nero hired him. He was a Jew, but he was such an accurate historian. Nero, his enemy, hired him to record all the events that happened back then. The works of Josephus, you can order them. I had a copy of all of them at one time. But if you read that, you will see that all these events happened. And Josephus says everything in Revelation occurred during his lifetime. He watched it happen. So the seal of God on the foreheads of the saints back then and even today is a spiritual thing. Probably won't be able to see it. But the seal, the Antichrist, the mark of the beast, that Nero did was visible. You had to have that visible mark as a mark of your loyalty to Nero, and you had to worship the statue that he put in the temple. He desecrated the temple. Or you couldn't buy or sell. You couldn't participate in society. Can that happen again in the form of a different mark? Today, yes. Yes. The final Antichrist, the final world leader.
I was just thinking about how we're talking about how the demons are being loosed, and we see so much of it where the demonic activity is going on in people, and you can see it. I mean, you just have to turn on any news report, and you'll see people just acting like zombies. But when these people die from drug overdoses or murders or whatever,
or the jab,
those demons come out of those and just go into more people.
Right.
They're not going away.
Demons,
they're just filling more people, killing off to kill more people.
Demons are disembodied spirits. They have to have a body and a personality of that person through which they can operate and perform their deeds. And they can't do anything without Elohim's permission. Satan is not a free agent. He doesn't have a free will any more than you and I are free agents and have a free will. We don't. We aren't and we don't. So he can only do what God commands him to do, Satan. And same with demons, same with fallen angels. But they do what he instructs them and commands them to do as a part of his end-time eschatology, his end-time preordained script for the time we're living in now. But this was written for that time period. And to them it was given that they should not kill them, those who belong to Christ. Remember, Yeshua said in Matthew 24, when you see these things happening, when you see Rome surrounding Jerusalem, get out. Because I'm going to come back in the clouds of judgment. He told him in Matthew 24, he told Pilate the same thing. And I'm going to destroy the Jews. I'm going to destroy Judaism. I'm going to kill them. I'm going to use Nero and the armies of Rome to do it. He always uses a wicked person or a wicked nation to kill another wicked person or another wicked nation. Destroy them. He always does that. Read the Bible. It's all through history. He was commanded they should not hurt the grass. Okay, to them was given that they should not kill them, but that they should be tormented 5 months. Excuse me. 5 months has already happened. It's not some future thing. This happened in John's time. And their torment was as the torment of a scorpion when he strikes a man. Demonic spirits. In those days shall men seek death, and they shall not find it. Remember, Jerusalem was surrounded by the armies of Rome for a full, probably 5 months to a year before they actually invaded. During that time, men and women and children were starving. Women were starving. This is all recorded by Josephus, who was alive at that time, and other historians who were present then. Women were starting to eat their own children right before Jerusalem was destroyed, between 67 and 70 AD. There was no water. There was no food. Everybody was wanting to commit suicide. Some did commit suicide. Yes, you have to also remember that Nero was getting ready to sack Rome, but then he just held back because there was a certain sect, S-E-C-T, of Jews, zealous Jews, that were already starting to kill the Jews within Jerusalem. So they would be tormented 5 months. Their torment was as the torment of a scorpion when he strikes a man. In those days, here it is, in those days, men will seek death. They wanted to die. when Nero and the armies of Rome surrounded Jerusalem. They will not find it until Yeshua returned and killed him. They will desire to die, and death shall flee from them. This is not written it was written in the early 60s AD, 61, 62 AD. But it wasn't written for something that was going to happen over 2,000 years later. This was written for something that was about to happen within a year of when John saw the vision. Go back and read chapter 1. It'll tell you that. And the shapes of the locusts were like unto horses prepared unto battle. And on their heads they were as crowns like gold. This is not literal. And their faces were as the faces of men. Demonic spirits can imitate people. That's why you see all these things on the History Channel today and on these documentary channels about ghosts visiting, haunting places. And the ghosts look like, the apparition actually looks like somebody's mother who died, or father who died, or little brother who died, or their grandparents who died. Demons can replicate human beings in their appearance. They can. Even fallen angels can take on a physical form. That's all throughout the Old Testament. And they can take on a form to look like one of your ancestors or my ancestors. Don't be deceived. Even Satan can appear as an angel of light. So they had the faces of men, these demonic spirits. And they had hair as the hair of women. Their teeth were as the teeth of lions. They were nasty looking, wicked looking, ugly looking demonic spirits and fallen angels is what John's seeing right now. This isn't what is going to appear on the earth. I'll get back to that. Can this happen again in a different way? Yes. Fallen angels, I believe, are on the earth now. Possibly in the form of aliens, the Greys, Bigfoot, Sasquatches. That's fallen angels. They're supernatural beings. They come in and out of portals. That's why nobody can ever capture a Sasquatch. They see them. They see them on. Notice every time somebody takes a video of their phone of a Sasquatch in the woods, it's always blurred too. Yes, mermaids too. They're wicked demonic spirits. They're in the sea. They're in the ocean. Now people are really going to be whacked and think we're whacked. But John sees these creatures now, and they will reappear on the earth in our time now again.
I think most people can't relate to these kind of things because their vision is limited to the natural five senses.
The three-dimensional world.
The three-dimensional world. And they don't see into the spirit realm and see the possibility and the enormity of the demonic realm all around them.
So wait till it does happen in physical form.
My gosh.
Wait till these fallen angels and demonic spirits start taking on some physical forms like what John saw.
Well, and some of them are doing that now using people.
Right, and through UFOs they're doing it, but they're going to appear like, remember the movie E.T., Extraterrestrial, E.T.? He appeared as a nice, soft, benevolent creature that was there to help and comfort that little boy. That's the way Satan wants us to view demonic spirits and fallen angels.
And that's the way a lot of the people that are proponents of the AI,
Right.
Whatever you call them.
Interdimensional spirits, extraterrestrial spirits.
Yeah, that's why they're saying, oh, well, they're coming to help us.
They're coming to help mankind and take us to the next level of utopia. False. False, false, false. I watch those documentary channels all the time, and I just sit there and laugh and go, you guys are... Satan obviously controls all of television now, and he's controlling that narrative that these UFOs and aliens and extraterrestrials are benevolent people who existed long before we did. That part's true. But they were the ones who built the pyramids. They were the ones who were the giants and all that part. That part of is true. But because they were here, they have more intelligence than we do, and therefore they can help humanity. Not hurt us, but help us. That part is false. Don't you embrace that crap. It is crap. John saw these creatures. Who created these beings? Elohim did. Who's using these beings between the years 63 and 70 AD, which Revelation's written about, to do these things to Jerusalem and the Jews? The Father's using these beings to do this. They had breastplates of iron. The sound of their wings was as the sound of chariots and many horses running to battle. It's hard to get through these chapters because I got to stop at each verse. Notice this, breastplates of iron. The statue that Daniel saw in his vision. He saw many of the same things John's seeing here. He said the final, of course, his final could have been, probably was, the 49th week of the 70th week of Daniel, the 490 years, was when Yeshua came back in the clouds of judgment to destroy Jerusalem, destroy Judaism. Can it be repeated again? Yes, almost every prophecy in the Old Testament, including Daniel's, including John's vision, can be and will be repeated again.
Well, as we just
So,
said from Psalm 69,
Yeah.
that was repeated
Yes.
again at the cross.
Yeah, and in 67, 70 AD when he
There you go.
destroyed
More
Jerusalem.
than twice.
That's in the Psalms, folks. The Psalms filled with prophecies about Yeshua's first coming, his second coming, 70 AD, and his final coming.
So don't buy that Andy Stanley crap
Yeah.
about the Old Testament is not relevant. He is.
So notice here, iron. What's the last thing in the feet of the statue that Daniel saw? Iron and clay mixed. We see it here. We see it in the jab now. There's nanotechnology, metals in the vax, in the jab. And we'll see it in AI as AI continues to progress. Artificial intelligence is the mixture that Satan's trying to, the jab and artificial intelligence and 5Gs, all the frequencies, are the mixtures that Satan's trying to, Satan can't create anything of origin, so he can only try to pervert or imitate or destroy what Elohim's already created. The Father's going to let him do that in the non-elect, non-chosen humans. The elect and chosen humans will have a mark of God, the seal of God on their foreheads. We won't do that stuff. We won't participate in that, in AI or in the jab. But nanotechnologies, metals, irons are in the jab, mixing with the clay right now. And with AI, it's going to even be more so. I mean, was it Elon Musk himself who started the whole AI thing with another group of people? He said, once we get this up and running, then we will summon the demons. They will enter into these machines. And then they will try, the jab will have nanobots that go directly to your heart and your brain. And those nanobots, those metals, that iron, will correlate with the beast, and it's called the beast. The largest computer in the world is in Brussels, Belgium. I know I'm saying a lot here. When we finish Revelation, we're going to go back into some of this, connect the dots with you. But the largest computer in the world that has everybody's information is in Brussels, Belgium. And they call it the beast. Isn't that amazing? So with AI, there will be metals and irons, and with the jab, all of this combined will be transhumanism, will be a different DNA, and it'll only be in those that Elohim did not choose for salvation from before the foundations of the earth. It'll be only in those whom he did not elect for salvation. I know I really got off there, but that's interesting. John saw this demonic creature that had iron breastplates. And as there were breastplates of iron, there it is. The sound of their wings was as the sound of chariots of many horses running to battle. They're not literal horses. They're not literal creatures. They're demonic spirits. They are literal creatures. They're demonic spirits. They had tails like scorpions. They had stings in their tails. Their power was to hurt men for 5 months. It happened. Josephus writes, for 5 months, demonic spirits were let loose, came up out of the pit, and started hurting people really bad. And they had a king over them who is the angel of the bottomless pit, fallen angel, whose name in the Hebrew tongue is Abaddon, but in the Greek tongue, his name is Apollyon, and it means destroyer. Well, who does Paul say in his letters? Who comes to kill, steal, and destroy? Satan. These are demonic spirits. Their master's Satan. The Father's directing it all. The Father wrote the script for it all. He's the director of the play. He's the orchestrator of the play. He's the producer of the play. He brings the actors on the stage that he wants, Satan and all these demonic spirits and these creatures and fallen angels, and Nero and the armies of Rome. Apollyon means destroyer. One woe is past, and behold, there comes 2 more woes hereafter.
Well, if it's the first woe is past and he's saying this, then it's already happened.
Already happened.
It's already passed.
Already happened. It happened during his time. The 6th angel sounded, and I heard a voice from the 4 horns of the golden altar, which is before Elohim. Remember, the temple was built in the exact replica of what was already in heaven. Outer court, inner court, a holy of holies, the altar, the golden altar, saying to the 6th angel which had the trumpet, Loose the 4 angels which are bound in the great river Euphrates. We should probably stop there because that's going to be interesting. Did this happen already? Yes. A year or two within John's vision of seeing this in heaven, this happened on the earth in and around Jerusalem. Will it happen again? Yes. There will be a duplication of this prophecy. In fact, that's what Iran, Iraq is all about over there. That's the Tigris and Euphrates. Go look it up on the map. Iran, Iraq, Syria, all of those countries that are Muslim, demonic doctrines of demons, religion, Satan's religion, one of many of Satan's religions. Roman Catholicism is another one. Mormons and Jehovah's Witnesses, New Age. Yeah. One world religion that's forming now is Satan's religion. But if you go back and look at this, yes, there's already things happening. There's some places that are drying up in the Tigris and Euphrates River. There's many Bible scholars believe the final war that's spoken about in Ezekiel's prophecy, chapters 37 and 38 of Ezekiel, will begin in Iran and Iraq between the rivers of Tigris and Euphrates. So this happened back then when John saw the vision. Mm-hmm. And remember, all these things are types and shadows that he saw. And then probably will happen again. The armies can gather at Megiddo, but the battle will not happen at Megiddo. We call it the Battle of Armageddon. That's a fallacy. You go back and look at history, they gathered there, but there were no wars that took place at Megiddo.
It was a staging ground.
It was a staging ground, that's right. It's where they prepared for battle. Boy, I said a lot, I know, and I hope I didn't confuse anybody. We will connect the dots for you, especially when we finish Revelation. We will go back and then talk about what's happening now and how some of these prophecies will have a secondary fulfillment. Most everything in Revelation's already happened in John's time, but they will have a secondary final fulfillment in our time, in our lifetime. Thank you so much for joining us.